Are you always coming up with ideas? Do you marvel at successful business owners? Do you hate being told what to do? Ever take things apart just to see how they work? Are you a dreamer? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, this podcast is for you. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Enclave with Kevin Wortham, the podcast that focuses on building, maintaining, pivoting, planning, and investing in you, the entrepreneur. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Pro Tapes and Specialties is the world leader in tape manufacturing and specialty conversion with over 40 years of experience. In addition to our pro brand of high-quality specialty adhesive tapes, we provide contract converting services that help improve your profitability, streamline your supply chain, and reduce inventory cost. We offer the most complete range of converting capabilities in the industry, such as cloth tape, double-coated tape, specialty tape, paper tape, masking tape, vinyl tape,
carton sealing tape, adhesive transfer tape, duct tape, foam tape, electrical tape, filament tape, foil tape, reflective tape.
And the tape just keeps on rolling. Visit us online today at www.protapes.com or call us at 800-345-0234. Pro Tapes, it's just how we roll.
Welcome to another fantastic episode of the Entrepreneurial Enclave, Life's Coming Attraction. I am your host, Kevin Wortham. Listen, every time a very dear friend of mine makes a suggestion as to someone I need to interview, I do it. And my dear friend, and a special shout out to Frank Kennedy, Frank suggested that I reach out to this young man. This young man was impressive, so we are going to talk to him today. Brother Nahjee, welcome to the platform. How are you today, man?
Hey, I wholeheartedly appreciate you for having me. It's a good day. It's a good week.
Absolutely.
So I think, yep, I appreciate it.
So we want to give shout outs to Frank Kennedy again. Now, so how do you know my dear friend Frank?
Yeah. So Frank reached out to me via social media. I put a call out on as a Facebook group that we're both in. Community Facebook group, and I just put a call out for anyone who may be interested in doing some programming at our, at our business, at our studio in Ardmore. And he responded to the call. And actually, when we met in person, he mentioned that we crossed paths years ago.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's all good. Good guy, and appreciate him for meeting me, and also for referring for us to talk today.
And he's also a wonderful entrepreneur and magician.
Right. So he did a trick. He did a trick at the studio, and it blew my mind. So,
yeah. And I've had him work with some of my students and young adults and adults, and he is fantastic. He's always never ceasing to amaze us or anyone in his company. So Frank, I thank you. We got to also get you on the podcast for an interview as well, brother Frank. So take it away. What's your connection in terms of the entrepreneurial world? What are you doing, Naj? What are you doing, brother?
Yeah, no, thank you. Well, yeah, I mean, for the past 10 years now, I've been a children's author.
Yes.
As an independent children's author, and so yeah, my entrepreneurial journey started 10 years ago.
Okay.
Founding our own publishing company because we didn't want to rely on anyone that I did not personally know to dictate how I wanted to put out my creative projects, specifically with our children's books.
Yes.
So we started my own business, own LLC, and started to market and publish, our own children's books. And that's how our entrepreneurial journey started. And then now 10 years later, we own a creative studio here in Lower Merion, specifically in Ardmore.
Yes.
And that's where Frank and I were meeting the other day, which is called DayDream Kreative Studios. And we're one of only, I think it's 4 Black-owned businesses here in the Ardmore Business District.
Yes.
And we're a mass media entertainment company. We do live streaming, publishing, distribution, bunch of different creative projects, merchandising, you know, the whole nine. So,
wow.
So yeah, no, it's pretty going well. We've been here at this location for now a year and a half, and always looking to grow and expand.
Wow, congratulations. So let's unpack and let's go back to the whole publishing piece, right? Are you noticing, because I am, but are you noticing that since the pandemic, a lot more people are wanting to write books?
Oh yes.
What's behind that? What do you think is behind that?
It's the democracy. Well, to me, yeah. So when I first started 10 years ago, I mean, there are plenty of people who published before me.
Yes.
But the technology and the resources weren't as accessible, even 10 years ago.
Yes.
You know, so there wasn't as many people doing it. Now, especially post-pandemic, around the pandemic and post-pandemic, I'm seeing to your point, I'm seeing a lot more people wanting to be published and putting their work out, because the technology has democratized the process.
Yes.
So we're, again, 10, 15, 20, whatever years ago, you needed the gatekeepers, you know, to get published.
Gotcha.
Because you didn't have the resources to go online and do it yourself. Nowadays, you know, you can research and do it yourself. Now it depends on how you want to market and how successful you want to be after you publish the book. You know, it depends on different factors. But as far as having a book in your hand, yes, you know, you can do that in a day. So
wow. And so when someone comes to you, you can take them from start to finish. And if someone...
yeah. So one of the things we do, you know, since I'm fairly immersed in the process, a lot of people, even if they understand the process, they don't, you know, fully want to do it by themselves. So, you know, they can come to the studio and we assist with the full process, right? From once the book is done to, you know, editing, marketing, distribution, formatting, you know, the whole process, start to finish. But then also, you know, which is even more important than when the book, first and foremost, for your product to be of high quality. But outside of that, even if it's the best story in the world, if no one knows about it, it doesn't really matter. So we also talk to consulting on the best approaches to getting the work out there as well, which is what most people have issues with.
Yes. Yeah, because, you know, it's like every week I'm on social media, right? And there's always someone talking about come to this book fair, or come to this or come to this book signing, because they're doing their own book. So that's a new space that I'm not familiar with, but I love to see us in that space. It's just that are we ready for that? Could the market ever be oversaturated?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I don't know about oversaturation. I mean, if you look on, you know, you go to the supermarket, like there's how many bread brands are there, right? Like choice is good.
Okay, that's a good point. So when I go to my supermarket, I'm looking at bread brands, right? Mm-hmm. My supermarket only carries 4. That's it.
Yeah,
and so those are the 4 that are pretty much standard if I go to the next 2 supermarkets.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
and in mine, I mean, again, in mine around the corner, you know, is a lot more than 4. So, but also to that point, it's like who's choosing that bread?
Yeah,
you know, it's like I know for a fact that there's more than 4 bread brands out there.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily need to rely on, you know, whoever is making that decision to say, you know, these are the 4 that we're focusing on, only these 4, when I know that there's more choice. And it's the same example that I would also give, you know, let's get political. But actually, I was having this conversation with someone the other day.
Gotcha.
Like when we always have, you know, for let's say presidential candidates, and it's always like the same 4 or 5 people, 4 or 5 families, right?
Yeah.
Like the world is still like there's over 300 million people, but it's only 4 people running for president.
Yeah.
Like we need like choice. Like we're always but they're always chosen behind the scenes of who the people want to, to push into the world. So I always feel like more choice is good. And the same thing with the books.
Okay, more choice is good, but again, at some point you need a backer that's financially able to put you in that space, right?
No, I actually don't. No.
Okay,
no.
Okay. So let me know where we are, because I'm thinking politically, there might be a lot more choices, right? But financially, you got to have some backing to get to that next platform where people understand who you are. Somebody's got to put up the millions of dollars.
Right. Well, no. Well, then again, like there's people like we're not used to. Two things we're always used to, like when we need to get to the next level, we need someone or something to give you the extra push. Now, support is always appreciated, but if you're not getting it, we don't necessarily always think about the self-reliance and the independent part of doing it, of someone doing it themselves. Because then we also look down on someone for either self-financing a political campaign or doing it themselves, because we're always thinking that we have to have a sponsor or financial backer to do it. That's why you always see political candidates always reaching out for donations, right, to get to the next stage, compared to someone who's already successful and then they're self-financing their own campaign. So same thing with the books. You put out, you self-publish a book, it sells fairly well. You reinvest that money back into your business, and then you keep growing as you go along. Do a book launch, you make, $2,000. You reinvest that money into more books, do more signings, do a tour, and you do it yourself. But most people don't do it that way. Necessarily doesn't mean that you can't.
No, I get that, but what I'm saying to you is like, I've got quite a few friends on Facebook, and I would say at least 10 of them have books, right? 10 of them have books. So what is considered a successful launch?
That depends on the heart of the of the author, the writer, or the entrepreneur. Like there's some people that, they have an idea or, something that they wanted to write a book for the past, 10, 20 years, whatever. It's always in the back of their mind.
Yeah.
Some people just don't mind if they do a launch and, have people sign and get and that's fine. Like, and that's it. Or they may do, right? Like that sold 20 books. I can die happy tomorrow. Like, and that's totally fine with people.
Gotcha.
There's other people where like, this is my job. I want this to be it. Right. And they take that to the next level. And they do a book launch. They do 30 copies, and then they go somewhere to a bookstore. Then they go to Barnes, and then they go to the libraries, and then they start actually doing this as a legit business. Yeah. Right. So it also depends on the individual.
Okay. Yeah. Obviously, you can see I don't know enough about being in that space, so I'm gonna leave that alone and leave that up to you, the professionals. But I've always had people tell me, you should write a book. And I'm like, I think I've got the material to write a book. I just don't know the backside of it. And maybe I should come to you and have you help me figure that out. But it's just no different from anything else. Like there's people who think about like basketball, right? Like there's people who play summer leagues, YMCA. There's people who take it very, very seriously and try to make it to the NBA or play overseas. Yeah.
Right. There's just different levels to it. So you can, someone can say, hey, I'm successful just because they're able to make money as a Harlem Globetrotter, right? There's some people who just are fine at their local gym. Like there's different levels to it. So,
Gotcha.
But I just believe, to your point though, I don't believe there's like oversaturation, but there can be a level of, like the quality of the stories in the books can be diminished based on just being able to just publish something just for the sake of doing it.
Yes.
And that's the difference. And I've seen that as well. Like I've seen some people, even I don't like to deter from their dreams or their aspirations, but I can tell it wasn't very well put together.
Yes.
Just because they quote unquote published a book.
Yeah.
just because they have the resources.
And I guess that's what I'm saying. Don't just publish a book because you can publish a book, right? Put something out there that's going to be of quality, of not just your own thought of quality, but like acceptable quality, right?
Right. Yeah. No. To that point, correct. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Correct. We're on the same level. I'm just saying that even if, let's say, like we want more high quality products and books for sure. And I think more the merrier. Now, again, we just have to always just weed through the ones that don't don't fit that mold.
Got you. And so, in your space, right? What are some of the other services and some of the other things that you do provide?
Well, again, from the studio perspective, we do, we have we do live streaming.
Yes.
So all of the content that we produce, whether it's, for our, like the podcast that we host here or from our own internal shows, they're on, they're video recorded. We do documentaries and some short films, and then we distribute them independently through our own streaming channel, which is currently available on Roku, called DayDream Max.
Okay.
So again, we always focus on doing things independently, not needing other organizations or platforms to, dictate how we do things. So we have that. Obviously the children's books, we do publish a magazine as well, called DayDream Digest. And we do that seasonally. So we actually just finished our first magazine for 2023.
Yes.
That'll be released probably in about 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
And outside of that, so we also do some consulting for small businesses or and up and coming entrepreneurs, learning the process of, again, how do you start your LLC?
Yes.
How do you get your EIN number? All the basics.
Yes.
We help with stuff like that as well.
And so how did you become an entrepreneur?
Through necessity. I mean, I personally couldn't go the employee quote unquote 9-to-5 route.
Yes.
I learned that fairly quickly at 19.
Yes.
But I used but I was still, younger and working, right? So I would use my 9-to-5 to fund my entrepreneurship goals.
Got you.
But knowing that going into the jobs that I was going in, something that always keep me motivated was just knowing that I'm working on this book project. I'm working on, some other things that didn't pan out, but I'll always work towards, with the job that I was working at. And then I just knew over time it would build into, a business that I could move into post, that 9-to-5 world.
Got you. So what would be or what has been some of your biggest challenges getting to this point in your life as an entrepreneur?
Biggest challenges. Well, again, just being independent. Like we don't do any outside sponsors or anything like that. So the biggest challenge was, again, just constantly reinvesting in yourself.
Got you.
When you don't know what's coming next or down the road,
yes.
Setting up a book signing and you hope you hope enough people come to get your money back and reinvest it. And, always just constantly putting yourself out there and then hoping that it comes back, twofold, tenfold.
Gotcha.
Even still today, so we're still independent. And outside of that, but it's also most rewarding because as many times I think something won't work out, it ends up either working just enough or better, every single time. And,
gotcha.
Right.
And so what would be some of your regrets, if you have any regrets, about being an entrepreneur or being in this space as well?
Not starting at birth.
Good one. I like that.
I know. I think entrepreneurs just, I've had, personally, I would just say, I don't want to say it's regret because, everything is a learning experience.
Yes.
So, I've had, some quote unquote partners in the past.
Yes.
That didn't work out.
Okay.
And I just think that having a better vetting process on who to work with
Yes.
in the past, I think would have helped in a lot of different areas.
Okay.
In the past, and I just also I shared some of that with some people locally. Who are like, oh, I may want to work with a coworker. I know someone who wants that. And I'm like, but I'm just sharing my experiences.
Yes.
And again, like maybe that could, just shed some light on good or bad on how they go about doing things. Outside of that, no regrets.
Now,
I think it's it's all learning experience.
Would you suggest that an entrepreneur looking to go down this path, would they have or should they pick up a mentor? Do you have a mentor?
Yes. Well, no, I don't.
Okay.
But my mentor, in person, no. But my mentor, I'm almost. Let me not lie about that. No, I'm not lying. No, I'm joking. But I'm saying that I have some people who, I'm not putting the mentor label.
Okay.
But I've had one or two who, it's like, hey, call me if you need anything.
Sort of like an advisor.
Right. Yeah.
Got
yes.
you.
But again, more so, it's like, just call, but as a friend. But it's like they were in the space.
Yes.
Or they're successful, and they're like, yeah, if you need anything, just let me know. Outside, but I wouldn't call them a mentor, but more of just a friend / advisor.
Okay.
But
sounding board.
Yeah. What was that?
Or a sounding board, someone you can sound.
Yeah, right, exactly. Someone to just bounce off as if we're talking right now, right? Give them 10 minutes of my time. But outside of that, my mentors, I could say, have been people who actually they've been from a distance, right? Like,
okay.
Some people that I just picked up on through books and, video series that I would consider mentors, like Dr. Miles Monroe was a big one. When I first started, he was a preacher and educator from the Bahamas. Actually, passed away almost 10 years ago.
Okay.
But a very, very influential that someone put me on 2 years ago. And Barack Obama was a big one for me when I graduated the same year that they, ran for president.
Yes.
And he became like a mentor from a distance, right? So, from how I crafted my community organizing work before I became an entrepreneur, to how I want to carry myself in the community, stuff like that. So but as far as
let's stop right there. So while you were serving as a community organizer, what were some of the things that you were advocating for? Were you advocating for people to start their own business?
Yeah, so not community organizing. So I started. My focus was on education.
Okay.
So I started. I started out as president of our local civic association.
Yes.
And then started getting involved in our, the mainland NAACP.
Okay.
To, good Lord, I was a judge of elections. I was on Human Relations Commission. My focus was on early childhood education, and that's how I sidestepped going into writing children's books.
Got you.
But yeah, we're advocating. Again, I was at every school board meeting.
Yes.
Trying to get more books into the hands of kids in underserved communities. I was really involved in book drives, school supplies, events. Just trying to get as much educational resources to the kids that need them. That was what I was doing primarily before I started writing children's books, and also even volunteering tutoring at a local church, and then took the dive into publishing our stories.
While you were talking, what was so interesting is you had mentioned Barack Obama, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Barack Obama started out as a community organizer.
Exactly.
And then he became a junior senator. But here we go again, though. Somebody had to endorse him. Somebody who had already had credibility in that space had to endorse him before the money started flowing. Right?
In his case, correct.
Yeah. Okay. That's all. So who knows? Maybe 4 years, 8 years from now, we can be celebrating you as the mayor of Philadelphia or even the president, right? Huh?
Yeah, you never. Well, I know. I appreciate that. I never roll it out. I mean, you say 4 years, could be next year. You never know. You never know.
Well, hey,
you never know. You never
the
know.
functionality of social media, you never know, because man, you could do something so quick right now, you can blow up and people know about your name in 24 hours. Right?
There you go. But I will also say, but again, like that. I mean, that's traditionally how, as you mentioned, like with Barack Obama, then being endorsed because he's a political candidate. And, I remember him getting the endorsements of, Ted Kennedy and all these other people who were like the stakeholders, right? And just like, all right, getting that stamp of approval. But what I advocate for within my own self and other people in this space is that we don't rely on anyone to give you a stamp of approval that you already have from yourself and, God, if you believe in it. Understood. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you could either do it, whether you get the stamp of approval or the endorsement, or again, it could help. Obviously, it could help in other ways if you do get those type of endorsements, but we don't rely on them. That's all.
And again, I know exactly what you're talking about. I just think that for the time and space that we have here, this would certainly would require more conversation. But I certainly do understand you, and this is why we would have to have some more conversation. But what would you suggest for a young person or anyone who's wanting to go down the entrepreneurial road? What would you suggest for them in terms of how they get started?
Yeah. I mean, we talk about, people who are on the rise to dream and think and have a vision without any limitations.
Yes.
First and foremost.
Okay.
And then put a plan together, just really put things in motion, but taking incremental steps towards that big vision to where it doesn't feel like you're doing a whole lot of things all at once.
Yes.
And then taking your time and knowing that it's not going to take, again, because social media, everything is within this generation in this age and this year. Everybody wants things fast.
Yes.
Or expects things to be fast, right? Like they're not going to make $1 million in the next few months unless something crazy happens to you. But again, we focus on just having the big vision without any limitations, and then putting together a plan in order to reach that vision in incremental steps, and pretty much focusing on what are you focusing on today? What are you focusing on during the week? What are you focusing on during the month? What are you focused on during this quarter, the next quarter, the following quarter? And being able to stay focused on these steps, and just knowing that, again, things that you're doing today, you may not think that they're working, right? But over time, those things will be beneficial to you and your business and your goals in the long term. So, and we have a plan. We also, from the studio, when people work with us, we have a whole planner. In a vision journal, right? Yes. Where we're detailing all those things. What do you want to create in the future? What can you imagine your goal looking like? What does it look like? What are you doing this year, this next month, quarter one? Yeah, the whole nine. So my advice for upcoming entrepreneur: have the big vision and then putting together a plan or a journal in order to take those steps, in order to reach it.
Got you. How would you best describe yourself, Nahjee?
How would I best describe myself? That's a good question. I would describe myself as creative, resilient, and a dog with a bone.
Okay, independent. Okay, gotcha. Okay, and a dog with a bone. That's all right. All right. What best advice would you give to a future or an existing entrepreneur?
You have what it takes, and you Yeah, well, one, yeah, you already have what it takes, and it'll be well worth it throughout your whole process. And once you reach that goal, whatever that it is to you, and that it's not as difficult as it seems.
Okay. Wow. I believe you, man. I want to stay connected with you. I'm gonna ask you at the end to just share with me. I'm gonna ask you to email me your bio and your headshot, and include all in that all your links as to how people can stay connected with you. They can follow you, but I want to stay connected with you because I've been hearing this for the longest about birthing a book, and I'm scared to death to birth a book. Because I think I am more audio than I am visual, right? And so I think I would do better with the podcast as opposed to the as opposed to the what do you say it
well, written work,
the written word, yeah. That's what I would say. So, but I want to talk to you and have you take me through that process, because man, I see a lot of people writing, and see, my thing is I don't want to do anything that doesn't make sense, and I don't want to do anything that I don't know enough about, right? So I believe in what you're saying, that we could really you can give me a better understanding. So what's your next book?
My next one, we just finished one, a project. So right now we don't as much focus on children, on books that we've create. I just say out of our own minds and own imagination.
Yeah.
At the moment, like we work with organizations that, like for example, let's say you're part of a organization,
Yes.
and you're like, hey, we need to publish a book for on behalf of our organization.
Yes.
Right. So it's more B2B than business to customer.
Yes.
But we just finished a book for a hospital, actually about 2 weeks ago, and then we're focusing on another book project for a school district that we're going to probably start working on starting late spring. So yeah, so we're always rolling, always being creative, and
now,
keeps us productive.
Do you ever do open houses so people can come and see your space and see all the work, all the things that you're doing? You ever do like open houses?
Yeah, that's your point. So we did last. It's been a couple months, but we have.
Okay.
And actually, we just did some cosmetic work here.
Okay.
So we were closed off a little bit, and we were just working on some things internally. But yeah, during like last spring, summer, late fall. I'm sorry, early fall. We were doing some open houses, and we may actually do that. Start doing that once the sun starts giving us some more love.
I'm telling you, because right now, boy, I'm not feeling the love.
Nope.
So, listen,
nope. Me neither.
I know that time is of the essence, but is there anything else you wanted to share with the listening audience? Anything else you wanted us to know about you and your entrepreneurial spirit and process?
I come from a community organizing background, and I mix that with business.
Yes.
Some people think that's good. Some people think that it's bad, because I'm very, very kind-hearted when it comes to the business side, because I understand what it's like to be on the outside looking in.
Yes.
So I just think that it's always good to mix kindness with business.
Okay.
And mix community with business.
Yes.
To where it's going to say, if someone says, hey, can we use, so another thing that we didn't mention is that, we have enough space at our studio where we rent it out for different events and different, meetings, workshops, and birthday party stuff like that. So we won't just say, hey, it's as an example, $65, $75 an hour.
Yes.
Right. But someone says, hey, I don't necessarily have that. I want to just turn you away. Right. Like, what can work with, I'm happy to work with you.
Yes.
Right. Like so with business, I'm always thinking about not just myself, but for all of us as a collaborative endeavor, which I think goes a long way, not just for yourself, but for everyone involved. And again, we're available, from my personal website, which is NahjeeGrant.com. Our studio website is DKSnetwork.com, which has all of the books, all of our shop and merchandise, all the community work that we do as well is also posted on there as well, and all the associated links. So we're always happy to talk to people and
excellent. And then
share our knowledge.
And then so you're gonna list all those links that you just shared with me and you just shared with us. You're gonna do that in your bio.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Listen, man, this has been fantastic, and I wish we had longer because I wanted to get deeper in some of these conversations about the bread, and about the politics, because I'm of an older ilk, so I just have some different opinions, on that whole process. But I certainly do understand yours, and there could be a meeting. Obviously, there is a meeting of the minds that we could talk more about this, though. But this is fantastic, though.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's a different thing. Because I agree. Like, I get wholeheartedly. We were on the same page.
Yeah.
Primarily, I get wholeheartedly where you're coming from, and I don't disagree at all with it. I'm just saying that the way in which the resources are available, same thing, like becoming available more and more. And if people shifted their mindset a little bit, then again, you just don't have to need as much endorsement as we have in the past, and that's all.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I wholeheartedly get what you're saying, and I'm, with the time frame that we have today, for next time. Again, we can dive into that and anything else.
I'm going to throw it out there real quick. I know I'm going to take. I just need 1 minute. 1 minute. So, when you look at the political landscape, there are some young brothers and sisters who are doing it, right? But at some point they have that aha moment that puts them on the national spotlight or puts them in the regional spotlight. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Where do we and how do we get our leadership to have that regional or national spotlight shown upon them that we can independently look at them and say, hey, I'd like to support him or her. Because at the end of the day, it still falls down to the old method. The old method, the old dude, the old guard who's been there for a minute that has to receive this level of endorsement.
Right.
I don't know how we get on the local scene. I get that it's all about evidence of your work. I get that, but when you start moving to the regional and national level, somebody is behind you saying, I got you. How do we keep this thing going? Somebody other than yourself is exposing you to the bigger boys, to the bigger body of people. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. And again, it also, I mean, to me personally, it also can come down to again, some of mindset, how much you're willing to invest in yourself.
But but most of these people don't have any money to invest in themselves. I mean, so it's like, I'm investing everything. I give you a good example, like the guy who did the Parkland shooting in Florida, right? He was just a high school kid, right? And he was just passionate about the killing that took place with his classmates, right? Next thing you know, he is on MSNBC, CNN,
Right.
That was his aha moment because of this tragedy. Now the big boys are coming after. Now he's got his own. Now he's running his own not-for-profit, where he could actually run for leadership because he's got some backing now. That's all. Young
Gotcha.
Young cat. That's all. But
that's also right. But I mean, right? Yeah, no, I get you, and I do remember that. But again, those are like one-off events. I mean, even though shootings happen every single day,
yeah.
But those type of, quote unquote, nobody yesterday, local celebrity or national celebrity,
yeah.
Because of those type of tragedies, and then those things do happen. But I'm saying when those things don't happen, and you're just trotting along and doing your thing independently. Again, we don't because it's not the norm. Again, I'm talking about things. What I'm saying, and I just want to say again, I get wholeheartedly what you're saying because that's the way it's been for the last umpteen years. But I'm saying it's not the norm to do it yourself or internally, even if it's with a small group. To do it yourself and say, look, I invest, let's say $20, daily on myself, and I'm going to turn that up to $60 or $100, and then $150, $300, and keep growing independently in order to get to that level. It's just not the norm, but I'm not saying that you can't. Yeah. But again, it's a conversation that we can obviously get into.
We're going to keep this conversation going, bro. That way, you're always welcome on the platform. You might say, man, I was thinking about Kevin. Let me call him and see if I can get on the platform and share this with him and the listening audience. And I'm going to say, gotcha. Sounds good, beloved.
Sounds good to me.
Listen, Nahjee, I want to thank you for everything. I want to thank you for being so transparent and informative. I enjoyed this conversation. Thank you, man. And I'm going to wish you nothing but success. I'm going to text you that I need the headshot in your bio, and we want to make sure that people can follow you. And if they need support, if they want to support you, or they need support from you, that you'll be there to give it to them and consult with them.
No, sounds good to me. Text me anytime, like I said, for the information that you need.
Okay.
I appreciate you. Appreciate everyone who's listening. And so next time.
All right.
We'll keep it going.
Nahjee, thank you, man. Be well, man. Thank you so much, beloved.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
That concludes another episode of The Entrepreneurial Enclave with Kevin Wortham, the podcast that focuses on building, maintaining, pivoting, planning, and investing in you, the entrepreneur. We hope you found this episode informative and enlightening. If you have any questions or comments about any of our episodes, please call 609-731-9311 or email kevin@minding-our-business.com. We look forward to joining us for our next one. Until next time.